Okay guys, so I'm back to do the next video in our handmade journal for our watercolor warm-up. This page is covered for a couple different reasons. One, so I don't muck it up. And two, this page is going to be recorded in connection with this page. So I don't, yeah. I don't know if you can see it. I can kind of see it on my screen a little bit. I don't know if you're seeing it, but I did kind of draw my outline here. I'm going to bring in a pen and go over it a little bit so you guys can see it a little bit darker. What it is, well, obviously by the title, you know what it is, right? So it's no big secret. But I want you guys to see, and then we're going to do some more doodling. I want you guys to see how easy this is. I hope the title did not scare you. Some people might have gotten a little worried because this could be a scary way to paint, but I'm going to show you that it is actually quite easy. Well, my balloon's crooked there, so whatever. I did not follow my line very well. Don't do what I do, do as I say. No, we'll have just a wonky balloon there. That's fine. Yeah. I think this is, yeah, this should be waterproof, but you know, whatever. We'll see what happens. And draw your balloons any way you want to, big or fat or skinny or tall, but do cluster them. And there's a reason why you want to do that, because we are negative painting. And negative painting consists of painting outside the box, per se, or outside the space to colorize, to paint the object, right? So we are going to bring in color to paint around these, and that's going to ultimately bring color into them. And I'm going to show you how we're going to do that. And then we'll come back after it's done and we'll do some other general doodling stuff. Make sure I'm centered here, and it looks like I am. Okay. I pulled out a couple of my new colors. Well, one of my new colors. Yes, if you see my last stream, you know that I've got a new color from Cremer Pigments, the Gold Ochre. So I'm excited to play with that. This is another reason why I covered this page, because it's going to give me a nice base to put my towel here to work off of. I'm going to get my brushes nice and wet, and I'm using a 6 and an 8, and you don't have to have the brushes I have, but I do suggest that you find ones with the best point you can. They will help you in this process. So I'm going to kind of explain a little bit more about the process. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my first color, right, and I'm going to paint around this balloon in this background area here, okay? And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to wet around here, okay? And then I'm going to bring in the color, okay? So that's going to do two things. One, it's going to, you can do it for two reasons. One, you can pre-wet this one here, this first balloon, and then pre-wet here, and then drop in your color, and then it'll colorize this balloon, and it'll also flood color in this direction, because remember, the pigment follows the water. Or you can leave this one dry and just wet these, and then come in with your brush and negatively paint around this shape to colorize these balloons. So you can do it two ways, and then come back and we can paint this one later. It's entirely up to you. You can approach it either way. So you just need to decide which way you want to approach it. I am going to leave this one blank, and I'm going to wet around it, just inside these other shapes here, okay, up as far as I want to go, because remember, the pigment's going to follow the water. So, and then I'm going to negatively or go paint around this balloon shape here, and pigment's just going to float. It's going to flood this way. It's going to follow that water. I'm going to start with my lightest color first, which is the gold ochre, and then I'm going to dab in bits of the coral. Now, with negative painting, typically you have to do it in stages, because you paint around the shape, and you have to give time for that layer to dry to be able to come back and then again paint around the shapes again to bring in more depth and more darker colors in the background. Okay, so maybe watch me the first time, watch it through the first time, and then come back and rewatch me again as you start to paint. It really is simple, and balloons are just circles. They really are just circles. So I think this will be an easy process for you. Okay, and you can speed up this video if you are accustomed to negative painting, or you can slow it down, whichever is the case for you. Okay, so again, it's going to be really simple. It's just circles. It's just dropping in color. And don't worry, if you get your paint where you don't want it outside our shapes here, just wet your brush right away and either bring it out around your balloons, okay, you know, water it down and bring it out around the balloons, or dry off your brush so it's just barely, it's not wet, it's slightly damp, and then soak up the extra pigment and or water that comes on the side. Okay, so that'll be the way that you can clean up any accidents. Okay, so we're gonna go with that, and yeah, if you guys want me to create a Facebook hashtag on my Facebook Muse and Art page, let me know, and I will do that for our or Instagram, and I will do that for this series. I don't know how many of you are following along, but let me know. Okay, so I will be right back, and then we'll get started. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I am going to take my larger size brush here. This one is a size 8, so it's not too large. It's got a nice fine point to it, and I'm going to just wet around the center balloon. Boy, I just can't talk today, I'm telling you. Just can't talk today. But I'm not going to go outside the balloons, right? I'm just wetting the paper. It's, you know, I'm going further out than I want to, because I'm going to let the pigment carry, let the water carry the pigment out. But I'm going to make sure that I get all the way around the center balloon. Okay? And turn your work if you're not proficient yet. There's a lot of times I will turn my work. I'm going to try to keep it straight in this video for you. But you want to pretend, you know, the thing with negative painting is I'm not really right now painting these shapes. Right now, I'm painting around this one. This is my concentration point, right? I want to paint around this shape. It just so happens that these shapes are behind it, right? So we are doing a very easy level 1 negative painting style. Oh my goodness, now my dog wants to bark. 1 second, please. Go. Okay, sorry about that. I have crazy dogs, and they just gotta go when they gotta go. Okay, but I'm making sure that I'm only putting water wherever I want the pigment to go. So I am conscious about where I'm putting my brush, where I'm going with that, where the water is going to be put. Okay? Alright, so then I'm going to take my size 6, dampen it a little bit, and then I'm going to bring water to my pigment in my palette. Okay? Getting it nice and juicy. Make sure all your paint is ready to go when you're doing any kind of painting. I suggest that you get all your, until you get really familiar with watercolor, you really want to make sure that all your paints are ready to go. Okay. So I got my paints nice and juicy. Okay. So here we go. I'm going to bring in my first color, and this is the gold ochre. And I'm going to paint around this one balloon for now. Okay. Now, if this is watercolor paper, this would, this paper might have dried some. You would see more of a whoosh effect with the paint, but because you may be working on watercolor paper, and if you are, you're going to see more, you're going to see the paint travel more, and that's okay. That's why you pre-wet your paper further out than you want the pigment to travel. Okay. But so I have to give it a little help because I'm working on old book paper. So I'm going to give it a little bit of help here. But still, you can see the pigment is traveling. But the one good thing about this is that I won't have to wait so long for it to dry. Okay. So. And then I'm going to take some of my other color, which quinacridone coral is the other color I took. I'm just gonna kind of drop in some colors here. And I just chose these colors because they work really well together. And I'm going to kind of let that mingle and marry. Let's let it kind of move around a little bit. Make sure it's a little more wet. Okay. Like I said, you're going to see more of a difference if you're working on a regular watercolor. You can give it some help. If it's not moving, if you're working on regular book paper or something else, make your balloons interesting. Okay. And I'm just going to continue on wetting my paper. Still undecided if I think I need to gesso these pages. They really are wonderful to paint on if you're accustomed to working with watercolors. But see how the paint is it keeps on traveling. It continues to go and go and go. So as I'm moving. Okay. So now I'm going to stop and dry. I'm going to stop and actually I shouldn't have wet these just yet, only because now I'm going to have to kind of wait for that to dry a little bit. But I like what's happening. I like what's happening with these balloons. And then I'm going to bring in a third color. So let me dry that a minute. I'm using my other camera today. That's why you see my logo on the screen there. So bear with me. You're going to have to wait just a second because this one doesn't have pause feature. So I'm going to just dry that a second. Okay. Good enough. I'm trying to make these videos quick. So, okay, now I can go back and wet this again. Okay. I'm going to introduce another color. And again, I'm just staying outside. Now these two become my new shape to negatively paint around. And again, I'm not worried about what's behind it. I'm only going around the shapes that I'm negatively painting around. So, and again, I'm taking the water out further than where I want the pigment to go. Okay. Now the dog wants back in. Loki, please come lay down. Please. Mom's a little busy. Okay. Our fur babies are just as much our children as regular children. And well, I have grandchildren now, so my fur baby is, well, yeah. Okay. So now that I've wet those, the area around, okay, I'm going to now bring in more coral. I'm going to start with the coral, and I'm going to let it, oh, there it's going. Now it's moving. A little bit more. And now I'm going to introduce the other color that I'm working with. This is the Hematite Genuine from Daniel Smith. It's a nice purpley brown granulating. It's not a brown. I would say more. It's more of a sepia color, but it's just beautiful. And I love the way it granulates. And again, I'm probably going to have to give it some help to come out there, and that's okay. I might have to leave any negative painting in this book for the regular watercolor papers I put in here. Okay. Decision. This is in the first part of the series, I worked on regular watercolor paper, so I hadn't worked in a regular book in a long time, so guess we're getting less of a negative. That's okay. This is really a beginner experience for you guys. Okay. And then since this one is not connected to those two, and I went ahead and watered it, let's see. Now it's still wet, so let's try this. I'm going to go in straight with the darker color, and I'm just going to really just do the negative part just at the tip. I'm going to kind of let the pigment do the talking there. just a little bit of the gold ochre. And maybe put that in some pink. Okay. And like I said, if you're working on regular watercolor paper, you're going to get more of that whoosh. The pigment's going to really travel for you, and you're going to really get the experience that you're not really seeing here. And maybe if I do any wet, I'm really going to have to save the, I think I'm going to have to really save the negative painting aspect for regular watercolor paper, because I know you're not seeing what I really want you to see, but this is a good experience for you to try it if you are working on, so I'm just going to go ahead and, I mean, you can kind of play around with the concept a little bit. There we go. Alright, so this one, now what you would normally do is then you come back and you finish painting the main shape, okay? So you start by going around the shapes, or if you're like doing leaves, I mean, there's as you progress and get more and more comfortable with negative painting, there's lots of wonderful paintings that you can do, fantastic things with negative painting that you know, we may get into later on, not anytime soon, obviously, but negative painting nonetheless. Yeah, but there's a lot of fantastic things that you can do with it, for sure. This one is going to be mostly the ochre, and you would normally come back if you're not doing a wash over a wash. And you do it where you start with just going around the main shape. And then I'm just going to drop in just a little bit here, the top. Then you would normally do it this way. You'd come back and paint the main shape after you've completed all the other shapes around it. Alright, so I think I'm going to bring in some more coral here. More layering. Okay. Alright. Then what I'm going to do is I am going to fully wet around here. And we're going to give it a little bit of a negative painting outside the balloons. We're going to drop in several colors. But yeah, if you're there's lots of you know, practice you can do with painting leaves on top of leaves on top of leaves, and you can discover how much depth you can get by starting with a really light color, and then the next level you go down is a slightly darker color, and then the next level you go down is another darker color on top of that. And that you don't need to do like you go around the shapes, but it's a little bit different way to tackle it. So we might do that one next, if on the next negative painting, not this one that's next, not this page that's next to this one, but the next time we do negative painting, I might set up a leaf style. I just wanted to give you guys kind of give you guys a little bit of a play with it, a little bit of an experience. Nothing major. Just gonna give you guys something to play with. Now I'm just gonna really wash this out. I want it to be really, really washed out. I don't want the color outside to overshadow what's going on inside, right? We just want it to be very faint and light. Oops. Okay. All right. You can see a little bit of color in there in the background. Now I'm going to take the purpley sepia color and just really let that mix and mingle. Because one of the things about negative painting is the more contrast you give an edge, or even when you're just doing regular painting too, the more contrast you give an edge, the more fun it is. You know, sometimes, a lot of times, what you might be missing in your painting is contrast. You know, so you need your lights and your darks and, you know, all that good fancy stuff. Okay, so I'm just touching the edges and letting the sepia fall out into, you know, I don't want it too harsh. I want it to be slightly pigmented again, but a little bit darker than anything else that's going on back there. I don't want it to overshadow the balloons. Okay, and we're going to come back. We're going to doodle these in a second. So now I do need to turn this around though, because I need to be able to tip the book. Well, not getting it wet would be a good thing, right? Goes back to doing what I say, not what I do. All right, so. And now for the darker. Okay. it down. Okay. It's a little bit dark there, so I'm going to just clean it up a little bit, bring in some little bit of shaping there where I think it needed it. There we go. There we go. I like that it looks kind of grungy. Okay. There we go. Now I'm going to dry this, and it'll only just take a second. All right, totally dry it so we can go on to the next part of the deal here. Completely dry it so you don't mark it with your pen or tear the paper. Okay. All right. Now I got some new pens from my mama today. I got the Derwent Graphics line markers. I've been wanting these for a long while, and now it's blurry. What do I got? I don't. You know what? Let me turn on the controls. See how that is? Well, you know. Hey, this one. What is this one? Yeah. Hold on. Let me turn on the filter so I can show you guys properly. Like I said, I'm using my other video recording today because I wanted to have my logo up, and I was doing some other recording. I needed my logo for my other recording. It's one of those days. What can I tell you? Okay, so it's going to get blurry on my, but there we go. There we go. Oops. Yeah, so they're called the Derwent Graphics line maker. They come, you can see they come in different size nibs. So I'm going to use those. So let me bring you back into focus here. Okay. So I know I'm going to go ahead and pull out the, let's start with the 0.5 and see how that one is. Nice. These are very light fast pigment ink drawing pens. Feel good in my hand. Yeah, very light fast. I like that. So I'm going to go ahead and the black lines you see, I'm going to go ahead and make those a little bit stronger now. I'm going to totally, ooh, this nib is really big for a 0.5. This seems very large. Let me let's go down. Let's try a 0.3 and see if that one is but you know, I'm used to drawing with small tidy pens now. Yeah, maybe I'm just used to the small nibs. Oh, jazz these balloons up a little bit, eh? And see, I am going to go into fast forward mode with this next part, so this video won't be too long, and then I'll come back and we'll talk, okay? So I'll see you guys when I'm done. Okay, so you seem to have a little bit of a trouble with these pens. Now I was trying to use the 0.5 and the 0.3, and I don't know if I have to do something special with these pens. There's no instructions about having to prime them or anything. I don't know. They wrote good off the bat, but then I couldn't get them to write on this. So I don't know. I'm going to have to do some looking into about that. However, moving on, I was not about to fuss with it. I'm going to put some metallic on this piece just because I can. If you don't have metallic, use a metallic pen. I want to use some paint. I have metallic pens, but I want to use up some of my metallic colors here. I have pinks and greens and all that here, so I might as well use them. I'm going to use like a coppery color, I think. No, that actually might be a little light. Maybe. You know what? Let's use what's this? Let's actually switch over to this darker color over here. These are some darker color, but kind of browny, metallic-y bronzy type color. Oh yeah, that'll work. I don't know what colors these are. Debbie Epps here on YouTube made these colors not last year, the year before that for me. So, but she does still sell watercolors. I don't know if she has any more in her Etsy shop, but her link will be in my description box for sure. So take a look for that. Also, if you haven't checked out, I now have membership options available on my channel. 3 different levels. Hopefully a little bit something for everyone. So check that out. So I'm going to just drop some little confetti dots. I don't know if that's sticking out enough now, but I guess I gotta kind of go with it, huh? Let's see, let's get some more water, get this a little bit more juicier, so we can get a bigger dollop of paint. So I don't want splashes on my page, but I want some specific dollops of metallics on here. Make it look like confetti. And then I thought maybe I would put a couple bring those dots here. Okay, and so yeah, alright, and then so in the next video, this page over here is going to tie into this one, so stay tuned for that, part 2. Let me now bring in, let's bring in something a little more vibrant now to this page. It needs some lightness now, right, I think? Oh, what color is this? Is this going to be... Let me see with this color. I think this is a brighter... Yeah, that'll work. That'll work. Okay. Doop. Not enough on my brush. Need some more water. Nice and juicy. Get the paint flowing. There we go. Metallics take an extra minute or two, except for these creamer ones, which I will be creating probably this or incorporate into my regular one, a mixed palette of metallics here and there. Dog hair not included in my project. There we go. Make a nice dollop size dots on my page. I hope this video is not too long. I can't tell. I had to, because I'm using my other recording software today, because I've been busy recording different things for my channel and needing my banner. Alright, so I don't even know if my banner made it on the other one. I'm going to check that, I guess. See if I can squeeze in some bling bling in here. All right, good enough. Let's guess I should some bling on there. It is a party after all, right? Perfect. Perfect. Okay, I like it. All right, so there you go. A little bit of negative painting, some doodling, some watercolor, all in a handmade book. So I will see you guys in the next video. If you have any questions, put them in the comments below. Email me. I'm going to figure out what's going on with this pen set. I don't know. I had to have Mama send it back. I was excited for all about 5 seconds, but maybe I'm just not knowing what I'm doing. I don't know. They're pens. Really, what could go wrong? But that's all, folks. That's all I had for the... So we're putting my finger in my project. Okay, I'm going to go before I really muck it up. Thanks for watching, guys. Love you all. Take care. Have a great day. Talk to you later in the next video. Bye.